Okay, I'd like to show you the risk assessment module for the Risk Assessor app. So I've just downloaded a fresh version. You can see the icon in the top left-hand corner. I'm going to download it straight away and you'll be presented with your company details. So you can input all of these, or if you're a system user, simply click on import at the bottom there, the little blue button, and we'll bring those straight through. It'll import them straight from the system. Okay, so if we select the country that we're in, click on done, and you can now upload your logo. So there's my logo, the system's just brought it straight in, but of course you can upload your own. All of this information that you're inputting here, including your logo, the reason that we collect all of this is because it's going to appear on your report. So it's going to be a bespoke report, okay? We'll click on done, input yourself as a user, so I'll put my name in here. Again, this information is also going to appear on the report, as is his signature, which I'm going to add on there in a minute. Because every time you do a report, your signature will appear at the bottom so that you've signed it off. So there's my signature, click on done, and the setup process is now totally finished. Okay, so there's various different modules there. You can see risk assessment, method statement, accident prevention, audit, and the soon to be released store. If we concentrate just at the moment on risk assessment, so we'll press risk assessment, we're now on the home page for the risk assessment module. Okay, now we preload the app with probably about 10 example hazards and example control measures. So I'll quickly click on those here. If we click on view all, you'll see a list. Okay, so you've got cleaning chemicals. These are just examples, dust and offcuts. You can delete any of these that you want, and you can add as many to this list as you like. So the idea is you build up your own hazard and your own control list. And you can pick your own icons as well. Again, these are just example icons. You can choose whatever you like. Okay, so if we click on back now, back to the home screen, okay, we'll start off with a brand new assessment. So click the new assessment button, input a project name, so I'll just put in there video demo. Select an assessor, so this is where we added users earlier on. Input your start date, your end date, and your assessment date, and then add a work description. So you could be as detailed as you like. I'm just going to put test in there just for the purpose of this video. Okay, click on next at the bottom there, and you're going to get three options. You can take a photo, you can choose a photo from the library, or you can skip. Now if you press skip, you're going to go straight into choosing which hazards you can see at that particular risk site. So you can skip through all of your hazards, you simply start selecting them, and you would then select the control measures. Now I'm actually going to show you the photo option, so I'm going to click on back, we click on next again, and then choose from library. I want to add a photo to my report because I think it makes it a more powerful report, the addition of the photo. So you can add reference photos if you like. You'll see I've just added one here. If we wanted to add another one, we can add more than one photograph to each assessment. I'm only going to add one for the purpose of the video so it doesn't go on for too long. Okay, so we'll click on next at the bottom, and you'll see we've got a grid screen. Okay, so you've got my building site with a grid screen on it, and you'll notice these hazards over the right hand side here that I'm just flicking through. Now it might be that you can't remember which icon relates to which hazard when you actually set it up. So what we've got in the top right hand corner there is a key. So if I press the key, you'll be able to see each hazard and which icon it relates to. So you can scroll down, you can choose which hazard you like. Before I actually get to choosing one, a new feature that we've added on this latest build is favourites. Because you can have 50 or 60 different hazards all loaded up there. And you don't necessarily want to have to flick through all of them every single time. By simply pressing this little star on the right hand side, it will add a select few hazards to your favourite list. So if we click on that at the top here, you'll see that you've now got a favourite list. So it makes it a lot quicker to be able to select which ones you want each time. So I'm going to go back to the all hazards listing, and if we scroll down, I'm now going to select the hazards that I want. So this again is a new feature. We can now select straight from the list. So what will happen if I select a hazard there, and if I click on another one, you'll see it appears over on the left hand side. So instead now of dragging and dropping from the right hand side straight over the top, I can select them from the list, it adds them over here, and we can now simply drag them over the top of the photo wherever they're going to be relevant on that particular assessment. You can add it more than one time as well. So if I was to add it again, you'd see a little 2 appear on the second one, and so on and so on and so on. So if we click on next, which is the bottom right hand corner, we'll go straight on to check your hazard. Okay, so all we've done so far is just dragged a little icon over the top of the grid. It's here that we can get inside that hazard, and if we click on it, we can we can edit it. So we can make it as custom to that particular assessment as we want. We don't have to go with the default entry. Okay, I'm not going to change anything here. I just wanted to highlight the fact that you can change it if necessary. If you click on Show Grid at the top, it will bring the grid back up so you can have a little reminder on which hazard it is you're looking at. So I'll close that down again. And now if we click on Next, we can select the control measures for that particular hazard. So at the top, we've got a default worst case outcome, so we can change that if necessary. I'm going to leave it as severe injury. We've got a default likelihood, given the precautions already in place. I'm going to say it's very likely. And now I'm going to start selecting my control measures. Okay, so we've got our default entries. Again, same thing applies. If we click, we can edit them to make them as bespoke to that particular assessment as we want. Okay, so I'm going to start selecting the ones that I want to choose. I'm going to say wear a safety hard hat. Is it already in place? Now that's going to be required. Wear safety boots. I'm going to say that's required. And close down the working area above and inspect prior to work date. I'm going to say that is also required. What you're now going to notice is we've got a new box to tick, which is additional likelihood. And this is where the residual risk is going to be worked out. So I'm going to say additional likelihood is now remote because it's going to take into account all of these new control measures that we've added. Okay? So if we now click on Next, we'll have another hazard that we can do. So electrical tools are going to be required. Click on Next. I'm going to change the default likelihood or the likelihood to very likely. And we're going to start selecting some control measures. So I'll say ensure PAT tested equipment, that's required. Ensure electrical wires do not create trip hazard. So that's required as well. I won't do too many because again, I don't want the video to go on forever. So we click on Next. Oh, sorry, this is a perfect example. I forgot to change the likelihood, so I'm going to knock that down now to unlikely. I'm going to click on Next again. I say, okay, so any further assessments that are going to be required, any additional assessments that are going to be required after this, I'm going to say, yeah, we'll have a manual handling assessment. Click on Next again, and we can select the groups of people that are going to be involved. So I'm going to say contractors, and any special groups where an individual assessment might be required, it may be disabled, as an example. So if we click on Next again, is a follow-up assessment required? I'm going to say that it is, just again to highlight the point that we can do that. I'm going to select a date, I'm going to select a reminder. So what this is then going to do is going to sync with your calendar so that you'll get a reminder come up. It might come up on our system, but it will also come up on your calendar on your device that that assessment needs to be carried out. Click on Next. And now, would you like the assessment to be signed off as reviewed? I'm not going to do that just yet. We can do that a little bit later on. But if you like somebody to, or you have to get somebody to sign off your assessment as reviewed, you can add that feature here. So their signature will also appear on there. Click on Next, and we can get people to sign it off as being read and understood. Again, I'll show you this a little bit later on. Click on Next again, and you'll see that the PDF report has been created. So you've got all the information you've collected here with the project name, description of work, the further assessments, all the dates and everything. If I scroll down, you will see the hazard that we identified. Any controls already in place, I didn't select any. Additional controls required. And if we scroll down, of course on the right you've got the residual risk and a key here as well, which highlights the whole scoring system and the colour coding. You've got the follow-up, incidentally, that we just selected, when it's required for, who's carried out the assessment with the signature that we collected a little bit earlier on. If we scroll down, we'll see more of the same. And if we scroll down a little bit further, what we'll see is a copy of the photograph and where those hazards are actually relevant. You also see, if we scroll back up, I kind of missed this little point out, there's a grid reference that shows where that hazard is relevant on the grid as well, so that you can find it down here. Okay, if we click on Next or Save, you'll see that it's added it straight to our home screen here. So it's all offline. You don't need to be online to carry this out. It's on your device, and it's now just waiting for you to do something with it. So you've got a few choices of what you can do. You could swipe across to the left-hand side with your thumb, and you could edit that assessment. So you can make a few changes to it if you want to. It's worth noting that any signatures you've added will be wiped as soon as you edit it, because people have only signed it as per their last view of the assessment. So as soon as it's changed, those signatures will come off. You can of course delete it by clicking just there. Okay, so I'll click off that. Now if we just click on the assessment, we've got a few more options. So we can view the report, we've just seen it so we won't do that. We can send to cloud, which is upload into our system, which is where you'll be able to see statistics for your whole company, and you can manage all of your assessments. You could email it if you've purchased the email feature for us. you can print it. So if we click on print, this is worth pointing out, you need to have an AirPrint printer already joined up to your network. You basically pay every time you want to print a report out if you're not one of our system users. So you must have an AirPrint printer linked to your system to avoid getting charged unnecessarily. Okay, under that we've got review and we've got sign off. So if you did want to review the assessment, you simply click review. You put in the person who's reviewing its name just here, and then they can simply sign it off at the bottom. If they wanted to view the report again before they sign it off, they simply click on view report. Click on next, and what you'll see is it will generate a new PDF, and if we scroll down, you've got an additional signature here for the person that's reviewed the assessment and when they've reviewed it. Okay, click on save. And it may be again that you want to ask people to sign that assessment off as they start working on the particular job or they've arrived on the work site. So simply click on it and we'll click on sign off. Okay, so click on sign off, put a new name in here. So we'll pop a name in, ask them to sign it off, and then what will happen as you scroll down is you'll see an additional page at the bottom for all of the people that have signed it off as being read and understood. We'll click on save. And it's now been saved. And of course, now that you've got new signatures, you can click on it and upload it straight onto the system. You can request a review. So request a review is basically going to send, if you press that button, we can send an email off to request a review for that particular assessment. Okay, I hope you find that, that tutorial handy. You can find all of these on our website as well. Our website is www.riskassessor.net. Thank you.